Jon Sharp is the president of Hardenbergh Insurance Group, a family-owned independent insurance brokerage headquartered in Marlton, New Jersey. A third-generation leader in his company, Jon is the grandson of former President Richard C. Hardenbergh and has been connected to the agency since your childhood. With over 16 years of experience at Hardenbergh alone, Jon has held various leadership roles, including managing the group benefits division and the sales division. Jon assumed the role of president back in 2016, following Rick Hardenbergh's transition to chairman of the board. Under Jon's leadership, the agency continues to expand its reach across more than 30 states at this point, offering comprehensive insurance solutions to business and public entities and individuals. Jon is committing to upholding the company's legacy of ethical standards, community involvement, and exceptional client service. So, Jon, thank you for taking time away also from a crazy office renovation in Marlton to still make Connect a priority. Yep. Congratulations on your certificate of occupancy.
Oh my goodness, thank you. It was a long journey.
Well, I can't wait to come back out to the office and see what kind of upgrades that you've made. So we're doing the same fire drill here this afternoon. We're going to look at some of the best things about Hardenbergh Insurance and really try to glean some of the best practices that you're applying today in case there's a learning opportunity for others in the audience. The first topic we're going to tackle is growth. You've achieved top quartile in growth, and particularly I noticed in personal lines, you were a peak performer at 23.2%, which I know is personal lines is not your main line of business, but that's a hell of a lot of growth. With strong organic growth expansion into other lines of business as well. So what client or operational strategies are driving this level of consistent high quality growth?
Well, we just deliver great service. So
I think John Wepler's in the room.
Really, the organization, it's a sales organization. That's kind of how we try and run the organization. So what that means is from the service person all the way up to the salesperson, they understand that we have to grow. So we talk about it all the time. We track numbers for growth. We track numbers for retention because that drives growth as well. But ultimately, everybody knows in the organization that we're headed in one direction, and that's up. And I think that plays into it. One of the other things that we do that we learned from MarshBerry is we track sales velocity for individual producers. And that's been a change. We started that about a year and a half ago. And it's significant. And I think when you explain to your sales team what sales velocity is and they understand it, it helps growth. And that's been something that we've input, and it's been a big help. And again, the other thing that we track is we do track retention really heavily, and that's a big part of growth, right? I mean, if our retention is 3 points higher than the competition, well, then our growth is going to be easier to go and to grow and also sustain. And that's a big part too for the sales team. If they know, and when you're recruiting, if they know that your retention is 2 or 3 points higher than the person down the street, the salesperson is going to want to work at your organization as opposed to the other organization. So I think all that comes together, but ultimately it's about a culture of sales that we've put years and years into putting into place and continue to maintain.
That's been a common theme either of the Max Performer winners or some of the other peer groups I've been sitting in. It's like everybody's responsibility for sales, not just the production team. And that's really what will move the needle. Even MarshBerry attempts to talk about how we can drive more revenue through building deeper relationships. And so to empower your service team, in addition to your production team, to focus on retention is something that I know that we say could be lazy, just only focusing on retention, but you've got a good balance between the two.
Yeah, I mean, I think knowledge really is power for our team members. I think a lot of times, one of the things that I learned when I first started was people didn't understand what's the purpose and why are we trying to grow? When we answer a phone call this particular way, when we handle a client this particular way, why is it important? And it all drives to a certain way. So as long as they have the knowledge of understanding, like this is why we're doing it, and our core values drive that knowledge and understanding, we have a lot more success.
Luckily, you can see a lot of that at Hardenbergh, whether it is a new office and new furniture or investment in additional trainings and things of that nature. That's why we grow, so we can continue to do those things.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Very good. Just like other max performer winners, you're able to debunk the myth that you can't simultaneously grow and be profitable. And Hardenbergh is doing both. Your margin and return rates really do stand out. How do you maintain a high level of profitability without sacrificing long-term investments and maybe even your culture, just like moving offices and things of that nature? Tell me a little bit about how you're not making those sacrifices.
I think there's three things that really speak to this. The first is our leadership team is phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. You know personally because you've dealt with them. Our director of operations, Kim, who's here with me today, is amazing. One of the things that Molly talked about was alignment. And our team is so aligned, and that's because of Kim and the work that she does hand in hand with all of our managers. So we can set a vision together, the executive team, Kim being part of it. And then from there, she's delivering it down to the managers, or then to the supervisors, down to the manager, the account managers. So the alignment of the team is amazing. And then, I also want to talk about my CFO, who's phenomenal. And he really is diligent about making sure we're making the right decisions. So I have the typical CEO, president personality where, I'm chasing the shiny object, and he'll say, no, we can't do that. That doesn't fit with our vision and our planning. So he's making sure that we're making diligent decisions, and they're financially sound decisions. So we don't look down 3 years from now and say, oh my gosh, our technology spend is way too high because we chased 5 different things and they're still sitting here. We're not really utilizing them. So he really helps us do that. And then Kim and her team step in and make sure if we do make an investment that we're putting we're putting steps in place to make it work effectively. The second thing is really efficiency. Kim knows efficiency is my love language. I'm all about efficiency. And every day I'm trying to figure out how we can be more efficient and do things better. And what we do is it's a combination of things that we found over the time. We continue to try and build on these things, but we've used Resource Pro for quite some time. We are using VAs. That's relatively new to us. About a year and a half now, we've been using VAs. They've been great. And now we're getting very heavy into bots. And now there's going to be more things that we'll pull from that, because once you start changing your mindset to say, hey, a bot can do that, now all of a sudden this whole world opens up of why are we doing that when we know a bot can do it? Same with VAs, same with Resource Pro. So efficiency is number 2 on that. And then I think the last thing is about planning. We do a lot of planning. My CFO, again, is a big part of this from a financial perspective. And he builds in a plan for us that we are really consistent in staying on that plan and making sure we stay within the means of the development that we had, that we put in place the year before. And then he gives a budget for, like me, again, for me to chase those shiny objects so I can chase them, but within means. And then Kim can help us implement that particular thing that we chase.
I have to commend you as a leader, because to surround yourself with people that will tell you no or to hold you accountable is not as fun or easy as surrounding yourself with people that will just tell you yes all the time. So having that discipline is probably one of the reasons why you are able to maintain that profitability and growth at the same time.
Yeah.
Going back to your efficiencies comment, understanding your investment into bots has been really cool to see at Hardenbergh. In fact, Kim taught me something on a call the other day where not only are you self-identifying tasks that are transactional that could be completed by a bot, but you're actually utilizing your current relationship with Resource Pro to quality check these bots that you're creating, where they ultimately know they're likely working themselves out of a job. And as there are people sitting in their peer group rooms trying to understand if you find one company that does outsourcing or choose to make that investment internally, I think it's very progressive what you're doing, working with your other vendors to help create bots at your company internally.
It's working so far, so we'll see where it goes.
Okay. Speaking on that productivity front, I was looking at your revenue per producer and your revenue per employees and all those efficiency metrics. And your productivity, at least in your production staff, is really elite. Every line of business is over $1 million per producer. So what operational or talent management decisions is Hardenbergh making to enable your team to work at such a high scale? Is it just the bots?
No, I mean, that's a big part of it. But again, when my love language is efficiency, it trickles down. So everybody is looking for ways to be more efficient and do things better. We still have a culture where many of our team members are working from home 3 days a week. And that's because we want to make sure that we're making the right decisions. So 3 days a week. And I know that's unique at this point. Many people are back, but we got to the point where our team members are effective doing their jobs from home, and we're able to monitor that and make sure that they're hitting the numbers that we need them to hit. And I think that's helped from an efficiency perspective as well. But again, it's turned around and given the ability for our team members to hit higher numbers and for us, for our averages to be higher. So that's a big part of it. The other thing I'll touch on too is, and this is something that we spent a lot of time with our group, our MarshBerry group, the Mahogany group. I came into our group for years. It's been 8 years. I came into our group and I said, I am really against HR. I know there's HR people in the room, so I apologize to the people that are HR. But I just had this mindset that I couldn't get over. HR, they just create problems. They create problems. Jill, I know that's not true. But that was my mindset. And my SIG group just pushed me and pushed me and pushed me. And Phil had a big part of this to say, hey, you need to bring on an HR person. We talk so much about how many people with our growth trajectory, how many people we had to hire to do that. And I was wrong. We brought on what we called a people ops person because I still don't like HR. But it works for us. So we brought on a people ops person, and she's been a tremendous find, has really helped the organization as a whole. And 3 months ago, I'd say, we brought on a talent acquisition person too. So now we have 2 people in our people ops, which again, if you told me 3 years ago we would have that, it would be wrong. I would not believe you at all. But the SIG group helped push me into that arena and helped me get to the point where we did it, and it's been a tremendous success for us.
It's interesting you mentioned that after hearing from our keynote, Molly Fletcher. I had been talking with your people ops person about this new FTE, a new employee that she could bring on to her discipline. And it was a conversation about what skill set we should be hiring for. And it's not that talent acquisition or recruiting was a red for Tracy by any means, but she definitely gets more green energy from things like payroll and employee benefits and processes and procedures. So to be able to think about where she gets her energy from was how we made a business decision to determine that that talent acquisition person is what needed to be the new FTE and should be bringing you tons of producers, tons of service people to come. So that's a great addition for Hardenbergh.
Yeah, we're only $20 million, so we're not that big. And coolest thing happened on Friday. I got an email from our talent acquisition person, and she said, we have someone starting on the 23rd. And I didn't know who the person was. I never talked to the person. This is the first time that's ever happened in the organization. It was such a relief. Oh my gosh, we had this great person that we're going to bring on because they vetted the person, and I didn't have to step in at all, which gives me the ability to do a lot of other things to help grow the firm. So it's been great.
Growth, very good.
Yeah.
Speaking of bringing on folks, you've actually brought on a high number of producers in the recent past. You've even brought on a new sales leader this recent past, so you can focus on your greens and other ways that you should be strategizing on the business. And you kind of have kept nearly all of these folks and investments that you've brought on board. So can you talk about your approach to onboarding and developing new talent in a way that actually sticks?
Yeah, so I think the way that we try and do everything is we're just clearly communicating with people. So through the interview process, we're telling them what they're going to have to do to be successful. So they're not surprised. And I think in the past, we maybe sugarcoated it a little bit. We don't want to tell them they're going to make as many phone calls that they have to make. That was just silly. So now it's, hey, this is what you have to do. If you're going to be successful when you come here, this is what you're going to have to do. So they know coming in what it takes to be successful. And then we're going through a process of, there's a lot of training that we've never had before. There's one-on-one time. There's meetings with senior people. There's about a 7-step process that we're taking every single day with them to make sure that we can find successful people. But I will say, you mentioned earlier, having a 100% retention rate is not a good thing. It could be a good thing, but the next objective, and we're starting to do this better too, and since we did have to terminate somebody, but the next objective is to make sure that they're here, they're doing what's necessary, and they're finding success, not they're just here and they're trying to skating what's necessary. So we have very clear metrics, and we're training specifically to them, and it's helping us drive a new sales culture for younger team members that we haven't had in a long time.
Mm-hmm. I've been impressed with your adoption of technology like PerformYard as a way to manage expectations for employees and have regular check-ins and KPI reviews. So I would imagine that being so transparent about your KPIs and revisiting it in a system like that so formally can help make sure you've got the right people signing on board the first time around.
Yeah, again, it's clear. You're clearly telling them what to do, you're putting it somewhere, and then there's a place we can go and check.
All right, Jon, round of applause for Jon Sharp.